You enjoying dinner, Rexy? What?
I spotted something a little something suspicious.
Well, explain what you got.
Can you see that lifter right there? I don't know for sure. Can you see it down there?
Yeah.
No, not that one. The one in the back.
Oh, on the other side?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
You see all that oil pouring out?
Oh. Alright, let me see.
Yeah, right there.
You see that, folks?
I'm not 100% sure. But, like I was talking about, okay?
Yeah.
So, guys,
Explain.
I called up my buddy Earl. Earl Schexenator, down in Louisiana, down in the bayou. I met him on Drag Week way back when. Man, 2013 probably. Probably 2013-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good old boy from down in Louisiana. He does engine work and transmission work and so on and so forth. Told him my suspicion. So, guys, I don't have 100% diagnosed yet. But that's why in the video that I posted, I didn't post anything because I don't like jumping to conclusions or putting out information that is not 100% accurate. Now, I'm not 100% sure this is accurate, but I have a suspicion. So, after we called it a night, well, not really, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I had intuition as to why the sucker, when we started up, only had 15 pounds of oil pressure. This thing should ideally have 60, 70 pounds of oil pressure in it. So I pulled the oil pan off. I pulled the spring back out of it. Make sure that, like...
Well, yeah, we also changed from, we changed the pressure sensor.
Change the pressure sensor, put it in a mechanical gauge, just to verify that. Now, unfortunately with this block, we really only have one spot to feed one oil port pressure port here. So my oil pressure gauge is flowing pressure. So that would make sense why on the drill it only saw 15, 18 pounds of oil pressure when we were priming the system, okay? Well...
Because it wasn't running, the motor wasn't running continuously for it to show a solid.
But 15 pounds of oil pressure is plenty enough to pre-lube everything, okay? As we were just bumping it over. We ran the car for about 15 seconds, and...
It held the 15.
It didn't jump up to 60, 70 PSI. So, like, when we had the bent crankshaft in Turbochan's Mustang, that fresh crankshaft we got back from the machine shop, where the number 3 and 4 rod journals were bent. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me how this stuff happens. But it was knocking out number 3 and 4 rod journals. I pulled out number 3 and 4 rod journal after Muncie. After we ran Muncie, the weekend that I said I'm done with this, like we're gonna come back here, I'm gonna find a body, and we're building the car in 2 months. Yeah. That weekend, when I pulled it out of the trailer, it had 40 pounds of oil pressure.
With bad bearings.
The bearings were knocked out of it. Number 3 and 4 were gone. Like they looked like someone took out. You know how like Asian people throw glass plates at like walls? It looked like someone took a baseball bat to my bearings. Okay, they were ugly. The rest of them were not bad. 3 and 4, like nasty. So I start the car up like just before driver's meeting, and yeah, I threw as many used bearings as I could find in this thing. 3 and 4, and since 3 and 4 like were out, it started getting like the ones next to it because it's a priority main oiling system in these motors. That is the way the oil flows through the motor. Okay? It's kind of like your heart. Your oil pump is kind of like your heart. Like the way your blood flows, right? Like if you get frostbite, the reason why you get frostbite is because circulation cuts off your fingers and your toes, right? That's how that works. Because your fingers and your toes aren't your heart. Like, and it's not your brain. Like, those are things that need, like, the blood flow, right? Same in the motor, right? So in an aftermarket block, they changed the oiling system in the motor. It is still similar. I don't want to say the same, similar, but the main, most prioritized pieces get the oil. Now, also, in this motor, we run a mechanical style, mechanical upper end valve train here, okay? We got mechanical lifters in there. There's nothing besides a bearing or a bushing on the cam lobe. There's not hydraulics in there or nothing like that. It's just the oil gets lubed, okay? Generally speaking, we'll run restrictors in the motor. This motor didn't have them, and they didn't put them in. That's just facts, okay? When I bought this motor, this is not a motor that I built. This is a motor that we purchased because our two other motors that were supposed to be done a year ago were not done, and we needed a motor. So we put this motor in it without really looking at it, and we ran the sucker.
Which this was in the homegrown Hustler.
In the homegrown
we've
Hustler.
Had this
and
for a while.
we ran pretty good with it. We did knock the rod out of it at Crossville when we went airborne.
Yeah.
At like way too fast, and like I was like in the air, so we knocked the rod out of it. But it didn't hurt nothing. Don't ask me how. It was a miracle. So you can't say, and I can't say we haven't had any luck, because to have a steel rod come out of an aluminum motor and not hurt the motor is like
put a hole in the oil pan.
Is just like,
well, and bent the crank or screwed up the crank.
Screwed up the crank, and put a hole through the oil pan, and lamb chops, quarter fender.
It's got a little bit of character to it.
It's got a little bit of character to it now. Lamb chops. That's his name. That's his name on the YouTube. My connecting rod came out at 140. I'm not gonna say the mile an hour, but over 140 miles an hour. Boom! Went into his truck bed as he was sitting in the damn thing.
Yeah.
Or just got out of it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's it literally, and that failure right there, I still haven't been able to explain it, because the way it ripped the piston. Put it this way, I kept driving the car. Yeah. Not all the way, but like, if anyone says they're watching the gauges as they're going down the track, they're not. Okay? I'm slowing down, and as I'm going through slowing down, I look at my gauges, and the oil pressure was like, whew, like it might have already been at like 0. So I shut it off, and pull over, and like, friggin' diaper was full. Like, yeah. So, yeah.
Called me to go pick him up at the.
I said, man, you're gonna have to come pick me up. And I was like, there's got to be, like, it's not even clacking or nothing like that. Like, nothing bad. But somehow, it ripped the pin boss out of the piston. The rod exited the motor and never whacked nothing else and never hurt nothing. Don't ask me how that happens. A steel rod will generally cut an aluminum block in half if it breaks.
So that's our little bit of good luck.
So that's our good luck. But yeah, so getting back to it, this motor didn't have restrictors in it when we bought it, and they chose not to put restrictors in it. We'll just put it that way. Okay, fair enough. So this sucker should be making at least 40 pounds oil pressure, and it's not. So on a lifter, the lifter body, the oil, what?
A new cam.
What?
A new cam.
Oh yeah, we have a new camshaft. Okay, so this right here, this is where your push rod goes. This is a tie bar. See how it says up? Up is up. If they're upside down, see how these suckers are not in line anymore? The wheels are crooked. That's why you got to make sure your lifters are up, or they are labeled up when you go and put your lifters in. These go in so that your push rod's clear. Push rod's sitting here. This is your oil band. There's a series in your oiling system that goes from the back of the motor to the front of the motor, sometimes from the front of the motor to the back of the motor, sometimes from the front and the back towards the center. That travels oil through here. I believe that the lifters that are in this motor right now, this band is in the wrong location.
So it's creating the oil leak.
Which would put one or two things. The oil band, it's leaking past the lifter bore. So it's aluminum block. You could see in the video there, you saw the brass inserts. That means the brass bushings that these ride in, okay? Brass is replaceable, the aluminum block is not. So you have a brass insert in there so you can replace them and still have nice clean lifter bores. If this oil galley is getting too close to the top or too close to the bottom, well, you have a bleed, an internal leak.
Mm-hmm.
So on the base circle of the cam is Potato Head's butt. Does that make sense?
What?
Mr. Potato Head. It would be his butt. Because Mr. Potato Head's a cone,
Okay,
right?
so say,
Mr. Potato Head looks like a cam
okay,
shaft.
but you said Potato Head's butt. Like,
It does.
you didn't. You just like pulled that out of your butt itself. It seemed like. So let's go back a second. Now that I know what you're talking about, what did you say?
Mr. Potato Head looks like a cam lobe, right? His head's pointed.
I guess.
I don't know. It's been a little while since we've seen Mr. Potato Head.
Okay,
We might have
well,
to
you're
pause
about to get real familiar again in the next couple months.
this. If my kid comes out looking like Mr. Potato Head,
No, it's
he
a
ain't gonna be-
children's. It's a
he ain't gonna be
children's
mine.
toy. That's all I'm saying.
If my kid comes out looking like Mr. Potato Head, I know it's not mine because I got like squinty eyes because I sleep too much and I got black like
Because you sleep too much.
yeah, something like that, right?
Jeez.
I got my mascara on. Looks like I've been a girlfriend that just got dumped on prom night because all my mascara's underneath my eyes and stuff like that. But yeah, getting back to it.
Okay.
Mr. Potato Head, is he not pointy at the top and fat on the bottom?
I guess.
Okay, the base circle of a camshaft
Uh-huh.
would be his butt.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
At max lift would be his head.
Okay.
Okay? His head is small and pointed, right?
Yeah.
So it's only at max lift for a very short period of time,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
It's at the base circle. His butt is like Latasha's, right?
We don't even know
No.
anyone named Latasha.
I don't know. That's what it makes sense to me, right?
Okay.
It's like Latasha, okay? It's nice and big and round. Do-do-do. And it's going to take a long time for it to get around the corner. Right? That's the base circle of the camshaft. Nice and sloping and gradual. At the dwell time, boom. Okay?
Yeah.
Dwell time at the top, very short. Dwell time at the bottom, slightly longer. Okay? Dwell time is where, like, it's not really moving. Okay? Like a piston has a dwell time when it changes directions, right?
Yeah.
At some point, it has to stop and go in the other direction.
Yeah.
Okay?
I get it.
So, when this is at, I'm thinking, when this is at max lift, on the positive ramp or on the bottom side of the base circle, that these guys are too close
To the edge.
to the edge
And it's creating an internal oil leak.
and creating an internal oil leak. Okay?
Which means
That makes
no
sense
oil
to me.
pressure. Or
Which
baby.
also adds to the issue. So these guys don't need a whole lot of oil. My push rods don't need a whole lot of oil. The valve train doesn't need a whole lot of oil up here. You could generally run like a 40 thousandths restrictor to your upper end when you're running a mechanical valve train. Don't take that for verbatim. That's just a number.
But it depends on each combination.
Yeah.
Like it's not a
don't
solid.
take that for the Bible, okay? you can generally run a restrictor that is much smaller, which restricts a lot of the oil, keeps the same pressure, but keeps more oil in the lower end. Okay?
Because that's where it's more critical.
That's where it's more critical. The interim crankshaft that we had in this motor that we hurt
The bent one.
prior to the bent one,
Oh.
the one that we had in it after cross
Oh,
fill,
yeah. That
in
we
between,
used
in between, right? Had some main bearing issues, right?
Okay.
We were having some main bearing issues. Not mains, rods. Okay? Mains get the oil first, rods get the oil has to go through the crankshaft.
But it wasn't eating through bearings, right?
Yeah, it was.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Because we decided to put...
The good crankshaft in here. The friggin' really expensive crankshaft. That was bent. Fresh from the machine shop.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just put the fresh one in it and call it a day. We're good to go. Let's go racing.
Not good to
Fresh
go.
crankshaft. Bearing clearances are good. We're all set. It's already balanced to this motor because it came out of it. Like, everything's good to go. Yeah. Fresh from the machine shop. Bent. Not the machine shop that did this work. A different one. So, yeah. Where was it just there?
That the crank before was also having bearing
Yes.
issues.
So, that doesn't lead me to believe, but that does add to the suspicion that this could very well need upper end restrictors. Okay? Because there's a good possibility, not a good possibility, but there's a possibility that there's too much oil coming up top. We also had some, I wouldn't call blow-by issues, but we also had a little extra ventilation coming out of the breathers and out of the downspouts, out of the valve covers than normal. Okay? That would also lead someone to believe that this motor could use upper end restrictors. Okay? I'm not saying 100%, I'm not saying this or that, but it's all suspicions that might mean that we need to take the front of this motor apart and the back of the motor.
It's an educated
inference, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Not a guess, but an educated inference, educated cause and effect scenario. Okay? Extra oil up in the valve train, well, that means you don't have oil down low. If you don't have oil down low, you don't have enough oil in your oil pump. You could start seeing some cavitation in your oil pump. You could start seeing some dry spells in the oil pump or in your oil galleys. Main bearings get oil first. Rod bearings get oil through the crankshaft as it feeds through the mains. Goes from the mains to the rods and so on and so forth, right? That's how it all works. So, if we were knocking out rod bearings with the old crankshaft 2 crankshafts ago, it would lead one to believe that it could possibly be another oiling issue, right? Right. So, this could be an issue that was not caught by anyone. This could be a new issue. This could be unrelated. Right?
Yeah.
Supposed. Like, the percentages of that, I have my opinion on them, but those are the facts. And I choose to only put out facts based off of my knowledge and my experience from doing this stuff a whole lot for a really long time. Okay? So, I'm not overly...
What's your solution?
What's my solution? Maybe a different... I know for a fact that different manufacturer lifters have oil bans in different locations.
Yeah.
Okay? Generally speaking, so I already measured from here to here, from push rod to base circle.
Okay.
I already measured the size of the roller. They're both 750 rollers, and they're both the same height because we used, I put it away, I used my calipers not dial calipers, my like centerboard calipers, whatever the hell they're called. Their calipers rather, to measure push rod to the base of the lifter where it rides on the camshaft. Okay? Those are the same height.
Action.
Action. All right, guys. I'm not going to actually do it, but I'm going to go and walk you through the process of what I went through here. So, it's going to be fairly quick. Just a regular micrometer. I went and measured. Okay? These were like 1.890, I think.
Top of the body, bottom to the roller.
Yeah. 1.890 or so. Then, this gauge right here is a depth gauge. Kind of like a tire depth gauge, but very accurate. Okay? So, I went in through here and measured the seat of the seat. Got my answer there. I forgot what it was. Okay. Then, so if I know this depth here, and I know this depth here, I could subtract this depth from this depth to find out where the push rod sits in the motor. Okay. So it ended up being, I could even tell you the answer basically. So it was 1.890 minus whatever it was, and it ended up being like 158, 159. Okay, that is a common big block Chevy lifter seat offset. Okay, the seat offset is where the push rod sits. On a mechanical lifter, that seat doesn't change. On a hydraulic lifter, if you don't have enough oil pressure up there, so on and so forth, you need oil to keep this thing up to snuff. With the mechanical lifter, that seat's always in the same location. And that location is a measurement from the bottom of the roller here to the top of where the push rod actually sits in the lifter there.
Yep.
You think the general public can understand that?
I would say so.
Okay, good. Cut! There's some other lifters, like a big block Chevy aftermarket motors, standard deck or tall deck, generally use 300 tall lifters, which means they're slightly taller so the tie bars clear the lifters and stuff like that. You can see in here, these right here, those brass bushings,
Yeah.
they're flush with the top of the aluminum. That's where we're at right now. We're diagnosing this stuff a little bit more. We couldn't find lifters today. Today is Friday. Ideally, we would have tested last night. Ideally, we would have done some more enjoyable things today. Racing in either Ohio tonight or
tonight and tomorrow, or
at Shadyside tonight and tomorrow. But I'm sticking to my guns. But Fridays and Saturdays, Sundays, you can't order parts. Saturdays, you can order parts from certain places. So we've decided. Plus, we couldn't find an Airbnb that we wanted to stay at. So for Friday night, right? Mm-hmm. They were booked up for Friday night, like the ones that we looked at. So we're going to give it a little bit more time. We're going to keep on grinding it out a little bit longer and hope that we can find out something that we have some certainty as to why this issue is happening. The root cause of it. Now, I'm still not convinced that the front and back of this motor shouldn't come apart.
for the restrictors.
For the restrictors. But if these lifters fix it, I'd like to run it a few times like that and see.
Yeah,
now,
then you can have like
it doesn't hurt something.
You could have a before and after then.
We could have, yes. ABA testing is the only way that you can really quantify data. Mm-hmm. Before or after before. That'd be a BAB instead of ABA. Whatever. So guys, we're going to test this. We're going to change it. If it needs to be changed, then we'll change it back. And make sure that's the real issue.
Make sure it's right.
More work. More time. Are you looking forward to pulling off this intake? Guys, we had to glue this intake on because we had to double gasket it because the intake was milled or machined.
before you bought it, right?
Yeah, I bought it as like new,
Yeah.
and it was used
Yeah.
because it was machined to fit someone else's freaking heads that were milled to death, angle milled to death. Probably to get some compression in like a not so what's called motor. So
We have to double gasket.
we got double gasket it. We got to run a Felpro 1275 and 1275.5, which is a 120 thousandths thick gasket plus another 60 thousandths thick gasket, which means we got 180 thousandths thick intake gaskets on this sucker, which is huge. Just like that cocaine dealer, car dealer dude from Buffalo.
He also dealed. Well, okay,
Nope.
so he was he had a car dealership in Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
but he was also widely known in Florida.
Yeah, he had car dealerships in Florida because he was
Yeah.
bringing up his huge loads of white powder that was not snow into New York, and he got caught.
Where the sun is. And
Did he pass away? I think he's.
Yeah, I think a straw touched his brain or something like that. I was joking. That was a joke. I'll get to it now.
Okay.
There you go, guys.
Figure this out.
A little bit of information for you. I hope it's not too much. It's going to be, some people are going to hate it, but I want to go a little more in depth for some of you people that really want to understand the workings of these things. And I'll go through and do another quick video. They'll be on the back side of this or in the next video that I could really explain our findings.
Probably the next video.
Probably next video. So you guys, appreciate it. Like and subscribe to the page if you like it. If not, we're going to do this stuff anyways because we love it. But I promise you, we're going to take a break for a couple days because I've had it about up to here with this car because we should have been testing, running and driving and doing gender reveal burnouts and cool stuff with this car like 3 weeks ago now. Yep. So that's where we're at. Have a race car. It's fun, they say. So guys, I'm 99.9% sure I figured out the solution. Now I thought about opening up a 1-inch rod.
Is this going at the end of the video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not, I guess you could say the solution, but the root cause of the problem here. I believe the lifters are quote unquote wrong. Okay. I thought about doing it. We have some aluminum 1-inch bar stock here that I thought about tossing in the lathe, cutting it down to 840 thousandths and plugging off the back lifters and the front lifter bores. Just one in the back on each one and plugging off the front and each one and just slide those in there just as dummies. Just, they don't actually have to make a lifter, just a 840 thousandths slug just to basically plug up the lifter bores. Just to make sure that oil couldn't get from the front of the motor or the back of the motor. No oil could travel through the passages for that oil balance for the lifters. Then I could spin it up with the drill, just like we primed the oil system. And if it jumped up to 40 to 60 pounds of oil pressure, it's 100% certainty that it was the lifters itself. But I'm 99.9% sure that this is the problem. Now, the cam that's in it is a higher lift cam than previously. With it lifting up another X amount of lift, it puts the lifter body up higher in the lifter. Now we got 3 sets of lifters here. Why do we have 3 different sets of lifters? We're budget people, right? We don't have, we got what we got. These ones I bought new. These are, I believe that these ones right here are the Crower Hippos, 842 lifter, 159 lifter seat height, high pressure pin oiling. Means this, they are a needle bearing type material, but they're quality lifters. These lifters right here literally have like 10,000 miles on them, believe it or not. They're in pretty damn good shape. We had them in several different motors, but I originally bought these back in 2013. Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week and all the rest of that, and the Dirty 30, the Stretchy Truck, so on and so forth. But they're a quality lifter. After 10,000 miles, I send them out to get them rebuilt. But when we had an issue with the, when we broke a connecting rod, it went through and we damaged a couple of the lifters just from parts failure that was not necessarily doing on the lifters. quality lifter. Believe it or not, this one, and this one are all interchangeable with my motors. Not every motor, but with my motor. Because the lifter seat height, where the push rod sits, and the roller are in the same location. The diameter of the bore is the same. You could see that the tie bar height from the wheel, from the bottom of the wheel to the top of the tie bar, is slightly different on all of these. This one right here would probably not fit in my iron motor because the tie bar seat would get really close. It might fit, it might not. I don't know. These are the ones that came in the motor that's currently in the car that we ran in the Homegrown Hustler and we ran in Turbo John's car for a short period of time. That was these lifters. I believe they're not labeled. I don't know why these manufacturers don't do it. I think that might be a Comp Cams lifter that was in this. Both these two lifters here have this extra bit of material coming down here covering the wall. Some of these lifters, so it's a 750 wall and an 842 body here. Some of these actually come down a little bit farther and cover up the wheel more than like 10%. Some of them will go 30-40% of covering the wheel, depending on the manufacturer of the wheel. These are the brand new Iskies that were in the motor, okay? You could see the oil band is in the same location as this one. I don't even know where it is in this one. The exact same location as the Crower lifter. The oiling hole there is in the same location, so on and so forth, okay? But what the difference is here is this is another 750 wheel, 842 body. But right here, this band right here, look how small that is compared to this section here, from here to the base of where it ends. I believe we're having a whole bunch of oil. It looks like we could visibly see it. When this roller lifter is on the cam lobe and all the way up at the top, we see oil coming out of the base here. I believe that extra material right there will fix our issue. It doesn't have to have a lot. When you're trying to make oil pressure and you have that 1/8 inch hole there, or that's probably more than 1/8 inch, it's probably like the surface area of like probably damn near a 1/4 inch hole, when this area is opened up and exposed to the unpressurized area of the lifter valley.
Each lifter. Yeah.
But it's only the lifters that are open. So at any given time, I think we have three or four. I don't know. I don't know. That's not really common knowledge, guys. That's not even like normal knowledge. But I think it's probably about 4 lifters that are wide open at any given time, or damn near in that apex of where this would be bleeding off into the valley and essentially creating internal holes, internal leaks in our oiling system. So we're trying to find some 842, 159 lifter seat height, big block Chevy mechanical roller lifters. We've called several places. It is now Sunday, and we still haven't sourced the right lifters. We have a lead on 2 lifters, but they don't know the seat height on them, which means then we'd have to order different push rods so our valve train geometry doesn't change, and so on and so forth. All gets into a whole bunch of other issues. Then you got to chase those issues down. So right now we're looking for some 842, 159 tall lifters, big block Chevy mechanical lifters. We talked to one person, and we called several different engine builders and machine shops and stuff like that. And if they have them, they're not willing to sell them because then they can't sell their motor that they're building because they can't get the parts. We talked to another guy, and he said that he's been waiting 4 months. He ordered 10 sets of lifters, and he's been waiting 4 months for those lifters. So, that's pretty crappy. This is stuff that you used to be able to just like, they're here the next day.
Right.
So, I know a couple people on the YouTube got upset with us because we didn't make the racing this weekend. And I promise you, no matter how bad you wanted to see us, I promise you, we wanted to be there more. Like, I promise you, there's like, the car's been sitting here. Like, don't get me wrong, it's like not together right now because like, might as well keep on like knocking off little things and little add-ons and doing little things here and there as we don't have a motor together. But if we have a motor together, like, we'll be testing in 4 hours. Like,
yeah. That's
just the facts of it. So, that's the ending of the video. I appreciate everyone that likes and subscribes to the channel. And soon, Lady Gangster will be a YouTube superstar. The only good thing is though, like when we have the little one, like he's gonna have a jump start.
He or she, because we don't know the gender still.
Tomboy or boy. I don't know what it's gonna be. No, I'm just joking, guys. We'll see you soon. But if you know of a lifter that we can use for sale, available, good used, freshly rebuilt, or new, reach out to us, HustlinHorsepower@yahoo.com. And also, guys, since we have a little one in the oven, we're possibly going to be selling the toter home and the stacker trailer. We're not convinced we want to sell it because we really like it, and it's very important to us to have that at the track. So we have our own bathroom and stuff like that because of my medical issues and so on and so forth. But there's a possibility we'll be looking for a diesel pusher motorhome,
Or metal.
or a metal constructed diesel pusher motorhome, or a metal constructed toter that's got like a little extra living space, because we live in the thing. Like, that's where we sleep every night if we go to bed.
Oh, I sleep every night.
Oh, she sleeps every night. She sleeps in the toter home every night. I make it in there a couple nights a week. So, guys, we appreciate it. Like and subscribe to the channel. If not, we're gonna keep on doing this stuff anyways. So, see you soon. And new video tomorrow. I'm not smiling. You could smile.